Okay, so if you don't know what I'm using, I am using Minecraft. It is a game where you can pretty much do whatever you want. I have a setup here that will represent the majority of a quadratic function under a radical. And now, the proof of this is that, well, underneath, there isn't anything. I'll get more into detail with that in a minute. But if you look towards the left middle, you can see the X, Y, and Z axis. I'm really only focusing with X and Y. We haven't learned too much about Z. And so, continuing from there, right about here I show where the x-intercepts are, which it crosses over at 2.7. Yep, 2.7 is where it gets negative. I just have to move forward a bit. That's on one side. And then moving to the other side of the quadratic, it crosses the x-intercept at negative 8.7. Now, the y-axis is not exactly at 0. That doesn't really... it's very close. It's just about there. But the only reason this side's longer is so I could place a cart down to push it and actually get a better view of it moving. And so it goes straight down. This might be in reverse, but I can't have one go underneath because that doesn't work. Now if you look, it's just an empty space down here. I will be doing my work separately to show what formula I have. But as you can see, just looking around, it's pretty empty down there. I mean, I'll be going down there in a minute, but you can't do anything under there. It's not even supposed to exist. I am on a special mode in the game where you can do absolutely anything, and it's not more survival-like, but this place isn't supposed to exist. That rock formation up there is bedrock, and that's supposed to be as low as the game can go. It's supposed to be unbreakable. And this helps show quadratic formulas with a radical because negative numbers don't work. You have this underneath where it's not possible. I mean, it literally says I fell out of the world. So adding to more explanation, it shows that, like, with this, negative numbers aren't possible because under a radical, if you take a negative x value, you can't square root a negative x value. It leads to an imaginary number, which is represented in this game, where that whole space where the x value is equal to that of a negative input, that of a negative value, it's all impossible. It's not, it can't happen. And it is represented since I did fall out of the world. I was killed in game, and in reality, this proves that with a radical with a quadratic underneath, you can't have an x value that is equal to a negative number, since it would lead to a imaginary number, and as shown, that is impossible. Okay, let's see if it works this time. So from earlier, we already have known that, not talking to you, okay, so, where were we? So, you know that x plus 2.7 equals 0. That's one of the x-intercepts. And we know that the other x-intercept is at x minus 8.7. Okay, so now to get what the x value will equal, we simply redo the operation so that we subtract the 2.7 from both sides, and we'll get x equals negative 2.7, and it's the same thing for this one, except we add 8.7, and so it's x equals 8.7. Now in equation, we would write x plus 8.7 and x minus 2.7. But there's a problem with that. So the thing is, you can't just write it with those decimals. You have to write it in fraction form, and the closest fraction that there is, just make sure that's already on there, and so the closest fraction that there is at 10x plus 8.7 and 10x minus 2.7. Now just to make sure you understand where I'm getting that from, if you enter it into the calculator, 8.7, the fraction that is 8.7 that is shown in the calculator is 87 tenths, which means I wrote it wrong actually over here. It's not 8.7 and 2.7, it's 87 and 27. And so 8.7 equals 87 tenths, and negative 27 tenths equals negative 2.7. And so when going that over, you have 10x plus 87 equals, subtract 87